We continue our roundtable discussion. We were just discussing Proposition 26 and the voter permission that's going to be required on any new taxes and fees, and that had a resounding yes vote. Senator, I had cut you off. My apologies. But this means what for when you're trying to vote on the fees that you want to impose? Getting a two-thirds vote for anything is pretty difficult.
Right, and so that's the asterisk, if you will, on the good news of the Proposition 25 passage. While we're lowering the threshold to pass the budget to now a simple majority, we have just tweaked the rules on the revenue side. We had a pre-existing two-thirds vote threshold for tax increases. Californians have always defended that, but now that same two-thirds threshold now applies for fees. So it's just an interesting chemistry how those two will play against each other in balancing a budget. And with the addition of Proposition 22 passing, we have now further reduced the amount of the budget that's actually discretionary. But it helps protect some of the transportation funding for local governments, which I think speaks back to the job creation opportunities we're trying to read in these election results.
Let me get Mr. Tobin to ring in on that. I know that
the business community supported Proposition 22 to keep those local tax dollars at home. They also supported Proposition 26 because there was some concern that if the budget could be passed by simply a majority vote, then in fact there would be lots of fees added into that budget.
Proposition 22, which we call stopping the state siphoning local monies, resounding yes vote on that. But isn't this all, as some would describe, the ballot box budgeting that's going to make it so difficult for all the jobs and economy that you're talking about trying to create?
Absolutely is what it is, but until we get a fundamental, more comprehensive reform, these are some of the measures that, whether it's cities or counties or transportation agencies, redevelopment agencies and others, feel that they have no choice but to pursue to try to protect their funding sources. NTA, for example, I mean, they could not in good conscience proceed with a lot of the big, visionary and necessary projects for the region if they felt their funding was constantly being threatened. An unpopular position or perspective to have in the legislature, because from the state's perspective, there's so little that's discretionary in the budget already. They're trying to keep their hand in every pot they can. But I think it was necessary not just for entities like MTA throughout the state, but for the timing of wanting to get those infrastructure projects off the ground and people back to work sooner rather than later.
Let's go, because you mentioned Proposition 24, to that as well, the business tax breaks, the no vote on that, and I just wanted to get the Chamber's reaction on that.
Well, we were delighted with the no vote on that, and I think it's pretty significant that the public would look at a ballot initiative that was labeled tax breaks for business and rescinding tax breaks for business and vote it down. I think the public read the whole ballot measure and said, if we do this, we're going to lose more jobs in our state. We're going to lose more headquarters in our state. We can't have that.
Do you agree, Mr.?
Well, no. I was disappointed to see 24 fail, and I wouldn't draw conclusions about it, about what it means about voter sentiment. I think there was a lot of confusion about it. Voters are nervous. They're afraid. Talk about taxes on anybody gets people afraid that somehow I'm going to be a target, even though I don't think that voters would have been. The vast majority of voters, I think it would have affected a small number of businesses, 24, had it passed. And I'm sorry because I think it will cost jobs, especially in education. I'm from the California Federation of Teachers, and we're very concerned about the jobs that we see being lost in our public schools, in K-12, and community colleges, CSU and UC, and the defeat of 24 was a disappointment for that reason.
All right, we have some final thoughts when Eyewitness Newsmakers comes right back, so stay with us.